Shukla himself and for India.
This movement is very important. What you can see on the screen is basically opening of two parachutes. That means right now the mission is around 5.6 kilometers above the dropping zone.
Okay.
Subsequently, it will get down. Then four more share parachutes will be opened up around 1.8 kilometers above the dropping zone, and he will get dropped a splashdown at Pacific Ocean. Then a ship will come. They will pick up the capsule. The astronauts will be taken out. From there, it will go towards the coast by a helicopter, and subsequently they will be flown towards the place where they will be staying for around 7 to 8 days for rest and to get back to the normalcy, because they have been last 18 days working into zero gravity atmosphere. So their body system has to get back to the normalcy, and for that purpose they will have to be undergoing certain amount of exercises, certain amount of medical treatments, so on and so forth. Right now you can see that the craft is at around 1.8 kilometers. So now splashdown is going to happen anytime.
Okay, Dr. Lele, we were speaking even yesterday about this mission when the crucial undocking and hatch closing procedure were happening. So you were mentioning about how Kalpana Chawla, another Indian, lost her life in one such splashdowns. So what are the possible dangers that the astronaut spacecraft could face as it speeds down to splash down to enter Earth's atmosphere?
I think right now the major danger that is entering the Earth's atmosphere, where the temperatures are to the tune of around 2000 degrees Celsius, is already over. As far as Kalpana Chawla's craft was concerned, it was not a splashdown. She was traveling on a space shuttle. So that space shuttle, the thermal shield had faced certain amount of problems, and that's why when she was entering the Earth's atmosphere, there was an issue. But right now, they have successfully ensured that they have gone through that critical phase of entering the Earth's atmosphere, witnessing a very high degree of temperature impact. That has gone through. Now they are coming down, and I think in any point in time now, the splashdown will happen.
Okay, so we see on our screens Shubhashu Shukla and his family are very eager to await his return, and in fact Axiom 4 mission's return. 3:01 Indian Standard Time was the departure, sorry, I beg your pardon, was the return time, the time when the splashdown occurs near the coast of California. Dr. Lele, yes, the Dragon spacecraft is returning with more than 580 pounds of cargo, including NASA hardware and data from over 60 experiments conducted during the mission. Overall, how do you assess this mission as we are nearing the final seconds of the splashdown?
I think this is a very important mission as far as India is concerned. And now Shubhashu Shukla is getting down. So one can say with a lot of amount of a confidence that there have been a lot of learnings as far as this mission is concerned. This was a very daring
Okay,
mission,
the
one can say.
splashdown has occurred. Dr. Lele, if you could also explain to us, seeing these visuals, if that has actually occurred.
Of the crew's safe landing.
Yeah, the splashdown appears to have already taken place. Now a ship will come, essentially after things will settle down, and the ship will pick up the capsule, and the astronauts will be taken out of the capsule, and subsequently a helicopter will take them to the coast, and from there they will be sitting in an aircraft, and they will go to the Kennedy Space Center, where they will be under observation for 7 to 8 days. They will be under certain amount of a monitoring. They will undertake certain amount of exercises to get back to the normalcy from a microgravity to the Earth's gravity atmosphere.
Okay, so as you were speaking earlier about the achievements of the Axiom 4 mission,
we are happy to have you back
the experiments
well.
that were conducted by the Axiom 4 mission.
Yes, as far as Shubhashu Shukla was concerned, he was involved
between the
in
core and our commander Peggy
developed
Whitson
by ISRO,
as the
along with
AX4 crew has made it back home, splashed down at
Dragon. SpaceX, for your awareness, SISTI system verifications are in progress. I will report back when recovery personnel are en route.
It was about ensuring that can you actually, so there were there was microalgae experiments. There were experiments which are related with oxygen. There were experiments
So
which
now you can see a
related
couple
with
fast boats
ensuring
are going to be
the
approaching the
body
Dragon
system,
spacecraft.
particularly the
They're going to
glucose
start
part.
with making sure that the spacecraft is safe. They're going to do some sniff checks. They're going to pick up those main parachutes. As Dragon splashed down, the chutes were immediately cut to make sure there's no safety issues there. So we'll pick up those main parachutes up. And once the crew deems that the spacecraft is safe, then our recovery vessel Shannon can begin to approach and begin the recovery process. So we are now eagerly waiting on recovery of our Dragon spacecraft with the AX-4 crew. Dragon has already autonomously completed several steps to save itself following splashdown.
So for those of you just joining us, the return of AX-4 has gone smoothly so far, and we just got great confirmation that crew has splashed down. So Dragon successfully re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, followed by deployment of its parachutes to slow the spacecraft down to a gentle 15 miles per hour. And at that point, they successfully splashed down in the Pacific Ocean at 2:31 a.m. Pacific time, off the coast of Southern California. So at this point, like you mentioned, Jesse, we are just waiting for Dragon's recovery from Shannon.
Yeah, upon detection of landing, Dragon automatically releases the main parachutes to prevent wind from pulling the spacecraft. Dragon then automatically saves any pyrotechnics still present on the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations. The astronauts remain seated and in their suits at this point, but the onboard air conditioning keeps temperatures in check inside the spacecraft, and the communication systems on board remain powered so the crew can continue to communicate.
And as we're watching, SpaceX has 2 fast boats in the recovery fleet, which move very quickly to get to the splashdown point. And those are being followed by Shannon, the main recovery vessel, which will move into position upwind of the spacecraft. The 2 fast boats have very specific roles here in these operations. The first fast boat makes initial contact and is focused on immediate safety inspection of the vehicle, checking for vehicle integrity.
शुभांशु के परिवार वाले समिट में मौजूद हैं, फिलहाल अभी बोलने को तैयार नहीं है क्योंकि
it's a moment of pride for the whole world and a moment of glory for India as one of her illustrious sons returns back after accomplishing a successful voyage and after having conducted some of the very vital life-bearing experiments never done before. And therefore, as I said, today indeed Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And
Less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and remove the crew from the space.
all of them would be in the quarantine for over next 1 week, maybe up to 23rd. And from 24th onwards, they would be having team discussions with the experts from the ISRO. Then for the next 3-4 days that will continue, after which they would be spending time having separate discussions with the representatives of Axiom, representatives of SpaceX, and representatives of NASA separately. That's called debriefing. And after that is accomplished, which would go on for about maybe nearly 2 weeks, till about 12th or 13th of April, then they'll start preparations for returning home in case of Shubhashu to return back to India. So that could be around 14th or 15th, the preparations will begin. And as of now, we speculate that he should be with us over here on the 17th of August. जैसा मैंने कहा, विश्व के लिए ये गर्व का पल तो है ही है, भारत के लिए एक अद्भुत आनंद का पल है कि भारत मां का एक पुत्र आज कामयाबी से लौटा है, एक ऐसे प्रयोग से, एक ऐसी यात्रा से जिसमें बहुत सारे ऐसे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए गए जो पहले कभी ना किए गए थे, लेकिन जिनका समस्त मानव जाति के लिए महत्व रहेगा। और जैसे मोदी जी हमें हमेशा सिखाते हैं वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, और साथ ही साथ हमें याद करवाते हैं कि भारत को विश्व बंधु बन करके अपनी भूमिका निभानी है, आज वास्तव में विश्व बंधु के रूप में शुभांशु ने हमारी तर्जुमानी करते हुए वो काम वहाँ अंजाम दिया है और ये कह सकते हैं कि अंतरिक्ष में एक स्थायी स्थान भारत को आज स्थापित करने का अवसर भी रहा, सफलता भी रही। And as I said, in the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and also in the true spirit of discharging the role of Vishwa Bandhu as envisaged by Prime Minister Modi, a son of Mother India has accomplished for the entire mankind some of such experiments which were never conducted before, but which would have a bearing, which would have relevance for the mankind across the world, across the planet Earth. Thank you. और इसमें हाँ वापसी का भी चलिए हिंदी में बता देते हैं कि अभी रात को 11:30 बजे के लगभग वहाँ से उनकी रवानगी होगी, ह्यूस्टन पहुँचना होगा 8:30 और 9 के बीच में, जो हिंदुस्तानी टाइम है, भारत इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम 8:30 और 9 के लगभग उनकी रवानगी होगी वहाँ से। अभी वो लैंड हुए हैं ऑफ द कैलिफोर्निया कोस्ट सैन डिएगो में। 8:30-9 बजे के वहाँ से रवाना होने के बाद उसके पश्चात लगभग 2.5-3 घंटे का रास्ता है, 11:30 बजे तक लगभग ह्यूस्टन पहुँचेंगे। अगले 5-6 दिन रिहैबिलिटेशन की एक्सरसाइज चलेगी, क्योंकि उन्हें they'll have to get used to the Earth's atmosphere and the Earth's milieu। लगभग 23 तारीख तक ये क्रम मुकम्मल होगा और तत्पश्चात लगभग 1 सप्ताह उनकी टीम डिस्कशन चलेगी इसरो के जो हमारे प्रतिनिधि हैं उनके साथ, और तत्पश्चात फिर लगभग 15 दिन से अप टू ऑलमोस्ट 13th और 14th ऑफ अगस्त उनकी डीब्रीफिंग के सेशंस रहेंगे। अलग अलग जो इसमें स्टेक होल्डर्स थे, जो पार्टनर्स थे, एक्सियम की टीम के साथ, नासा की टीम के साथ, स्पेसएक्स की टीम के साथ, और फिर 14-15 के लगभग अगस्त उनकी वापसी की तैयारी होगी। और जैसा कि अभी योजना बनाई गई है उसके मुताबिक हम ये उम्मीद कर सकते हैं कि 17 अगस्त के लगभग शुभांशु दिल्ली हमारे बीच होंगे। और जैसे मैंने आरंभ में कहा कि विश्व बंधु बनने का जो आह्वान प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने किया था, उसका पहला संकेत आज शुभांशु के माध्यम से भारत दुनिया को देने में कामयाब हुआ है।
Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh lauding Axiom 4 mission's crew's return to Earth. He called it a massive landmark achievement for Shubhashu Shukla, first Indian astronaut to have visited the International Space Station. He called it a true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a Sanskrit phrase which means that the world is our family, where a son of Mother India, as he said, has made the country proud, its people proud. And following Shubhashu Shukla and his crew's return to Earth, he will undergo these rehabilitation tests in the USA and subsequently return to Delhi on 17th of August. And of course, both Axiom 4 mission and SpaceX have confirmed this Dragon capsule's safe return to Earth. It has been a remarkable space odyssey of 18 days on the ISS, International Space Station, where a lot of scientific experiments have been done. Shubhashu Shukla being part of many India-specific experiments, a very critical Axiom 4 mission concluding here on the coast of California. Dr. Ajay Lele continues to be with us. Dr. Ajay Lele, your thoughts on the successful splashdown of Axiom 4 mission crew back to Earth?
I think a very important mission, as Shubhashu Shukla was saying, that he has seen from the top Sare Jahan Se Acha. Now he is back to the place which is Sare Jahan Se Acha. So I think this is a very important event in the history of India's space journey, which started way back into early 60s. So over a period of time, one can say that India has achieved many rollouts in the domain of a space, and we will continue to do so in coming years, particularly with the experience which has been gained by Shubhanshu Shukla in this one mission. As it was being pointed out by the minister, that there will be various debriefings which will be undertaken. So basically, he will be talking about his experiments with the experts. He will be talking about the activities which were otherwise undertaken, about his stay, about his entire travel, because there are 3 to 4 agencies which were involved into it. One was ISRO, other was NASA, then there was a Axiom 4, which is a commercial agency, and SpaceX also was involved for the launching of the craft by using their Falcon 9 rocket, and the Crew Dragon also belongs to SpaceX. So every agency has put their brains, put their minds into developing these technologies. So obviously, all these 4 astronauts will have to debrief to all these agencies about their achievements, about what problems possibly they could have encountered over there, what could be the way forward. So a lot of critical briefings will be there, but that only after 7 to 8 days when Shubhanshu Shukla regains his strength. Because as you stay in a space which is a gravity atmosphere, there are certain amount of health related challenges because you are continuously almost floating out over there. So there are challenges with associated with bone density. There could be challenges with your cardiovascular functioning. So there will be lot amount of a testing which will happen from a medical point of view. Then coming, even they say that you will get chicken legs because you're not being actually walking on your legs also because there was no gravity. So there will be small problems, but NASA is very well accustomed to all those things. They have undertaken many missions like these things. So there's nothing too much worry about it. It's only a matter of 7 to 8 days where that entire process has to get completed. And after that, he will start briefing various agencies about his experiences, about what are the experiments which were conducted. I think so much amount of a cargo has been brought back. So there will be equipments on which the experiments have been conducted. There will be a lot amount of data. So now the specialists, the experts will analyze that data and certain conclusions could be brought down. And subsequently, he is expected to get back to our country by 17th of August if everything goes as per the plan.
Okay, once again, let's remind our viewers, these are the visuals taken a while back. This is Axiom 4 mission crews safe return to Earth. The parachutes there floating on the Pacific Ocean off the California coast. All the crew members have safely returned to Earth after their 18-day-long mission on the ISS aboard the Axiom 4 mission. Dr. Lele, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla has reportedly conducted over 60 experiments in space. Could you tell us something more about what these experiments were mainly intended to achieve?
You see, when you're talking of a 60 experiments, it was not about Shubhanshu Shukla. The Axiom 4 mission, it had 4 astronauts and they had total 60 experiments which were there.
Okay.
It's not that only 4 countries of which these astronauts belong to had organized or has undertaken these experiments. There are a lot of other countries, more than 20 to 22 countries, which were involved in designing these experiments. As far as Shubhanshu Shukla was concerned, his task was very specific. He was supposed to undertake 7 experiments which are exclusively designed by Indian Space Research Organization along with agencies like Department of Biotechnology and Indian Institute of Sciences. Other than that, there were 5 specific experiments which were developed by NASA, and Shubhanshu Shukla along with other astronauts was supposed to be part of that group to undertake those experiments. As far as Indian experiments were concerned, I can broadly divide those experiments, the 7 experiments, into 2 to 3 categories. One category is about the human health in microgravity atmosphere. That was an experiment which was related to understand how the human body actually operates into these types of atmospheres. Then there were experiments which were associated with oxygen, particularly the microalgae experiment. Then there are experiments which are associated with sprouting the moong and other sorts of vegetables out into the space. So if you really try to factor all these three important aspects as far as conducting of these experiments are concerned, one can realize that these are the experiments which are meant for the future usages. Because India has got plans of taking astronauts along with a Gaganyaan mission to space by 2027. Subsequently, there are plans to establish our own space station. So obviously, we would like to know more about how the astronauts' health responds to the microgravity atmosphere, because it's not only Shubhanshu Shukla now. In future, we will have many more astronauts going out into the space. Then there are issues which are associated with food and survival of the astronauts over there. So definitely for survival of the astronauts, water, food, and other elements are mostly required. So some of these experiments were associated with understanding that is it possible to prepare some sort of food out into the space itself. Because as you must be knowing that to carry anything to the space is a hugely costly affair. Even to carry half a kg or 1 kg of a weight to the space costs a lot amount of things. And if you want to sustain in the space for some months or some years together, you need to have or you need to develop a system which is essentially a system which will be self-sustaining system.
Okay,
So
request you, Dr. Lele, to hold your thought here. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, joining the nation in welcoming Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he returns to Earth from his historic mission to space. Prime Minister of India wrote on social media platform X, as India's first astronaut to have visited International Space Station, he has inspired a billion dreams through his dedication, courage and pioneering spirit. It marks another milestone towards our human space flight mission Gaganyaan. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi also elated like the entire country, India, in welcoming Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and his crew members as they return to Earth from their historic mission to space. Dr. Lele, your thoughts on how crucial the learnings will be for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he will prepare for another challenging mission of his life, Mission Gaganyaan.
If you see the entire program of a Gaganyaan, by the year 2019, India has already identified 4 Air Force pilots to be trained as astronauts. Subsequently, they were sent to Russia to train, but there were some problems as far as India's Gaganyaan mission program was concerned, mainly owing to the COVID crisis. Hence, the mission got delayed. So we had a bunch of astronauts who were trained already in Russia. But after they got back from Russia, by that time India, the ISRO has already established its own training academy to train the astronauts in Bangalore. So they continued to do their training. Then subsequently a window of opportunity came when Indo-US technical understanding deal was taken off. That time an opportunity came that an Indian astronaut can go on Axiom 4 mission. So we had identified 2 astronauts and they were sent to NASA for further training because their training was essentially based on what we call as a Soyuz spacecraft, a technology slightly different than which has been used by Axiom 4 or SpaceX. So they had to retrain to get accustomed to this new type of a technology which they will be using to the International Space Station. So amongst these 2 astronauts, Shubhanshu Shukla got an opportunity to go to the International Space Station. So he has undergone a lot amount of a training in various phases and he was totally prepared to undertake this mission. And now when you're talking of learnings from this mission, they are not going to be the learnings only for Shubhanshu Shukla. They are going to be the learnings for India's entire space community, particularly who are involved into human space flights. Because we have got Gaganyaan program and we have got our own space station development program also. So his learnings from these things are going to come very handy as far as development of our Gaganyaan program further is concerned and ensuring that Indian space station will be manned by Indian astronauts over a period of time. As far as ISRO is concerned, the experiments which he has undertaken, because ISRO being a very important space agency for all these years, never got an opportunity to undertake experiments into microgravity atmosphere. Shubhanshu Shukla's mission allowed ISRO to undertake experiments basically related with biology in microgravity atmosphere. So there will be a lot amount of learnings for ISRO also from this mission.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lele, for being with us. You've explained to us the achievements of this historic Axiom 4 mission on our screen. We have seen these visuals coming in of the Axiom 4 mission's safe splashdown near the coast of California. We also saw visuals of Shubhashu Shukla's parents in Lucknow, elated and of course having a sense of relief and of course pride for their son's historic achievement, Shubhashu Shukla and the Axiom 4 mission crew returning to Earth. So let's now also tell you the key events related to Axiom 4. So on 25th June, the mission successfully was launched from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida using a SpaceX Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket and the Crew Dragon spacecraft Grace. And on your screen, we are showing you the summary of the research topics. These are the topics specific to the studies conducted by the Axiom 4 mission. So the Axiom 4 mission carried 60 experiments representing 31 nations. These experiments included research into muscle formation, myogenesis, bone health, as Dr. Lele was also explaining, microalgae sustainability, stem cell behavior, the growth of edible sprouts in microgravity. The findings are anticipated to play a vital role in developing long-duration spaceflight strategies and enhancing biomedical understanding on Earth. And the crew were tasked with a diverse set of experiments around medicine, agriculture, and of course space exploration. Captain Shukla's work centered on skeletal and muscle degradation in space. Astronaut Shubhashu Shukla, the Axiom 4 mission pilot, has showcased a zero-gravity experiment aboard the International Space Station involving water to illustrate how microgravity transforms everyday physics. Shukla also carried out an experiment of growing microalgae as a sustainable source of nutrition in long-duration space travels. The experiment, part of Axiom Space's outreach and scientific mission, highlighted the unique behavior of water in space. And the other crew members, Peggy Whitson, former NASA astronaut and director of human spaceflight at Axiom Space, ISRO astronaut, Indian Space Research Organization, Shubhashu Shukla, European Space Agency project astronaut Stavros Uznaski-Wisniewski of Poland, and astronaut Tibor Karpu of Hungary conducted these experiments, and they worked on cancer, microgreens and plant biology and how the human body, particularly blood circulation, behaves under microgravity conditions. The crew also took part in a mental health study for astronauts as well. So now the ship doing the winding up operations of the splashdown here, Axiom 4 mission crew safely returning to Earth. As we told you, the Space Odyssey began on 25th June when the mission was successfully launched from the NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. On June 26th, the Axiom crew arrived and docked at the International Space Station. On June 28th, Shubhashu Shukla spoke to Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. Well, that was a very historic speech where he said, referencing astronaut Rakesh Sharma's words, that India looked the same, one of the best in the world, Sare Jahan se acha. It said that India is fearless, India is confident, and this is the new India. So this was on June 28th, and after that 18 days spent in space aboard the ISS, the crew conducted 60 scientific experiments and activities from 31 countries. If I could name these 31 countries, these included the USA, India, Poland, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Nigeria, UAE, and various European nations. So the crew joined NASA's Expedition 73 crew for a welcome ceremony and collaborated on various scientific outreach and commercial activities. This was, in fact, the most extensive research portfolio of any Axiom space mission to date. And what we saw yesterday was the undocking from the ISS. The Crew Dragon Grace spacecraft undocked from the ISS International Space Station on July 14th at 11:15 hours UTC, that is 4:35 p.m. Indian Standard Time, beginning the journey back to Earth. And we are getting reactions from across the country. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India wrote on Twitter a short while back that a historic mission has come to a close. He says that I join the nation in welcoming Group Captain Shubhashu Shukla as he returns to Earth from his historic mission to space. As India's first astronaut to have visited the International Space Station, he's inspired a billion dreams through his dedication, courage and pioneering spirit. It marks another milestone towards India's own human spaceflight mission Gaganyaan. So let's listen to what the reactions are pouring in at this moment.
बहुत खुशी है हम तो गार्जियन हैं बहुत और पूरे देश को खुशी है आप सब लोगों को खुशी है कि बच्चा हमारा वापस सकुशल वापस आ गया ये हमारे लिए और देश के लिए सबके लिए गौरव देश के लिए बड़ा गर्व की बहुत गर्व की बात है हमारे लिए खुद गर्व की बात है हम हमारे लिए सबके लिए देश के गर्व मतलब जो है देश का परिवार के लिए लग रहा है
अभी हाँ बिल्कुल धरती पे आ गए हैं बहुत प्राउड मोमेंट है हमारे देश के लिए भी और पूरे नेशन मेरे लिए एंड पूरे नेशन के लिए ऑफ कोर्स.
So that was Shubhashu Shukla's parents, of course, very elated, having a sense of relief and pride in this achievement of their son, Indian astronaut Shubhashu Shukla, having the honor of now being the first Indian of visiting the International Space Station. Well, moments ago, SpaceX Dragon spacecraft carrying India's Shubhashu Shukla and 3 other astronauts on the Axiom 4 mission made a successful splashdown in San Diego, California. On Tuesday, India's Science and Technology Minister Jitendra Singh expressed happiness over the safe return of Team Axiom 4.
It's a moment of pride for the whole world and a moment of glory for India as one of her illustrious sons returns back after accomplishing a successful voyage and after having conducted some of the very vital life-bearing experiments never done before. And therefore, as I said, today indeed Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space.
So live visuals coming from San Diego, California, where the Axiom 4 mission crew has safely returned to Earth's atmosphere. The crew here unlocking the part of this small spacecraft aboard a ship. Of course, what we are expecting is the crew members alighting from this part of this spacecraft of Axiom 4 mission. It has been a historic Axiom 4 mission. So we have with us Dr. S.V. Sharma, former Deputy Director, Indian Space Research Organization. Sir, first of all, congratulations, as we have achieved, Indian Group Captain has achieved, Shubhashu Shukla has achieved a very, landmark Axiom 4 mission's safe return to Earth. He is the first astronaut to go to International Space Station. How important a moment is this for Shubhashu Shukla himself and for India?
Good afternoon. Congratulations to you and congratulations to million DD viewers who are proud Indian 140 crore proud Indian citizens watching this through DD and other media. It is really a proud moment for all of us, Indians in large, and ISRO in particular, Department of Space in particular, because this was a mission which was taken up by ISRO for the impending Gaganyaan, which is 2026 and 2027. The Gaganyaan, where our own 4 astronauts will be going in our vehicle and our crew module and service module. For that, this is a precursor. Look, we trained this, we selected in 2019 4 astronauts for our Gaganyaan program. We trained them in our training center in Bangalore, what we call as astronaut training center in Bangalore. Then we trained them in Russia, and then Gross Cosmos, Russia. Then we trained them at astronaut training center in NASA. And one of our astronaut Shubhashu Shukla has successfully was flown in our Dragon capsule, and he traveled for no, he traveled successfully to ISS, and he stayed there for 18 days, did all the experiments, and he has come back. And now, as we see, the capsule has just touched down into the waters of the California seawater, and the capsule has been lifted. You can see the capsule is about 10 meter cube in volume, that is about 36 feet height and about 40 feet in diameter, and also its volume is about 10 meter cube. It's a huge capsule which can house 7 astronauts, and only 4 astronauts are there, and all conditions are benign inside the capsule. Now the capsule, you can see, has been put on the ship, and now the what we call it as the cleaning of the capsule will happen, the complete chemical cleaning and the contamination cleaning, what we call the decontamination of the capsule will happen. Once the decontamination of the capsule happen successfully, the astronauts will be wheeled out. They will not be in a position to stand, or they will not be in a position to walk. They will be weak because during the re-entry time of into the Earth, the capsule re-entry into the Earth, the astronauts would face extremely high mental, physical, psychological stress, and also the G condition of 4G. Very high G condition they experience. That very high G conditions would make physically weak any individual. Therefore, even though it's a pressurized cabin, even though all the requirements are taken care, the temperature at outside is 1600 degrees while the re-entry, that also gives a sort of thermal shock into the capsule. Therefore, the astronauts will not be in a situation to get up and walk, because they have to adjust to 0G, that is micro G, to 1G condition of the Earth. Therefore, they will be needing support. They will be wheeled out from the capsule. Once the capsule is declared fit to be opened, or after thorough cleaning, they will be opened and they will be wheeled out. After that, they will be taken for the first aid, where initial health checks will be made. Initial medication will be given. Initial energy boosting, what we call as energy boosting, will be given, because they wouldn't have had their meal. They would have had their last meal about 3.5 to 4 hours before they touch down. Therefore, they would need energy boosters, and the energy boosting will be given. And based on the condition of their arrival, the decision will be taken whether they should be airlifted by the helicopters, which are kept ready for moving them to the nearest hospital, or if the conditions are benign, then they'll be moved on the sea in the speedboats to the hospital and the rehabilitation center. The next 7 days will be rehabilitation for these scientists, the astronauts, and the most importantly, the entire journey of Shubhashu Shukla from taking off in Falcon 9 rocket on 25th of June till today, the 15th of July 2025. It's a very big learning experience for ISRO in particular, where our every experience of the astronaut who has been trained in the various simulators, the actual condition, the hands-on experience is going to be a very big boost for our missions. And this is from the science, technology, and also the experiments which were carried out, which are extremely important for the science and the impending maybe colonization of the moon, or mission to moon, or replacement for ISS, where it is likely that the vegetables and the food and the oxygen, etc., will be generated in the ISS itself. We don't have to carry, from the Earth. Therefore, those experiments which have been performed to grow the vegetable, grow the algae, will also be becoming very useful, and also the preparation of various sprouts and the cakes, etc., is also important. Now you can see the Dragon capsule is being thoroughly cleaned, chemically cleaned, to see that they are decontaminated. Therefore, the entire exercise of going there, staying there, doing experiments will be useful for all our Gaganyaan impending mission, human space missions, and also the BSS, the Bharat Space Station, which is likely to be 2035 and 2040. All these are as a precursor. As I was saying, this country in large, and ISRO in particular, anything they do, there is always a purpose with which they do it. Therefore, the purpose, I'm sure, purpose is served in terms of getting the experience. And for 140 crore people, I must say it is such an encouraging and proud moment where this country has been successfully able to send an astronaut to space and get the experience and take forward this space program to the next level for this country, which in the last decade and a half, if you see the space policy which has emerged, which is encouraging the industries, which is encouraging the students, encouraging the startups, and the way it is going, I'm sure the space in particular, the technology industry in large of this country will be going leaps and bounds. Over to you.
Okay, so the finale of the splashdown in front of us in San Diego, California. Well, this is the capsule of the return Axiom 4 mission flight, and of course the return flight was carried by a joint SpaceX Axiom mission here. This has been the 4th ISS mission organized by Texas-based startup Axiom Space in collaboration with SpaceX. SpaceX, as we know, the private rocket venture of Elon Musk, headquartered near Los Angeles. So what we saw were 2 sets of, in fact 3 sets of parachutes visible through the darkness with infrared cameras, and they slowed the capsule's final descent moments before it splashed down off San Diego. And what we are now seeing, as Dr. Sharma has also explained, the final cleaning up operations of this capsule, from which we will see the crew members alighting shortly, and the crew members now just trying to open the door. And of course, one hopes that the crew members are healthy and have safely returned to Earth. Well, Dr. Sharma, as we await the crew members' return, and of course they have returned, but we await the visuals upon their return. Minutes earlier, we saw the spacecraft had been streaking like a mechanical meteor through Earth's low atmosphere. Of course, it generates enough frictional heat to send temperatures outside the capsule soaring. So that's why we see these marks on the capsule. So are there any dangers here that we should be careful of? And I mean, the astronauts' flight suits are designed to keep them cool, right?
Of course, as we always say, the 53 minutes of the ordeal, we call it. The most critical moments of the 53 minutes from the time the decision is taken to enter into what is called as the deorbit burn starts at about 53 minutes, and 36 minutes from the touchdown, the real situation where the capsule enters into the atmosphere starts. That is where the most crucial period, when the capsule enters into the Earth atmosphere. The temperature outside the capsule will be 1800 degrees centigrade, and it will form a sort of film. And you would have also seen there will be cut off. There won't be any communication between the capsule and the ground. That is the type of situation what we call as plasma will be created. The Earth is the beauty of this nature. The beauty of this creation is so good. It is that neither it would allow anything to go out, nor it would allow anything to come inside, which would create danger to this Mother Earth, which is really beautiful. Of course, we have to cross the boundaries for our own research, our own, exploration, etc. But we have to undergo this, ordeal. When it enters, the one is the temperature, which is 1800 degrees centigrade, and the second thing is the contaminants in the atmosphere. Various chemicals, the various minerals which are there in the upper atmosphere, which would react with the with the capsule body, and also which would also trigger various chemical various chemical combinations and various chemical reactions, I should say, which would really make the capsule extremely toxic. Therefore, once it becomes toxic, that is one part which one has to be very careful when the capsule is splashes down. Is the first thing. Second thing is that when it enters the Earth atmosphere at around 36 minutes from the touchdown point, the G levels will be around 4 to 5 G. The astronauts would experience 4 to 5 G of the gravitation. Please imagine 4 to 5 times of what we have will be experienced, because that is the type of resistance that the upper atmosphere offers to the module. That will really create physical, mental, psychological disturbance to the astronaut, even though it is a pressurized cabin, even though adequate care is taken to ensure that the astronauts are safe. But it is true that the astronauts will experience the shock, the thermal shock. They will experience the physical shock, and also they will experience the plasma effect, which will surround when the module enters the Earth atmosphere. Beyond that, when it splashes down, also it is splashing down on the sea, and it is again a hard water, which is a salt water with all the chemicals and the minerals in water. Again, there will be reaction happening across the modules, and which would generate the toxic gases, toxic chemicals around the module. That is the reason so much of care is taken to clean, wash, and then so much care is being taken. Even if you can see, after now it is already more than 45 minutes since the capsule has touched down, and it's more than 5 minutes since the first hatchet door is open. Now you can see the inside. The astronauts are seen, and now each one by one astronauts will be wheeled out. So the care is absolutely essential, and the changes in environment, the changes in conditions which the astronauts go through while going from Earth to space and to ISS, and in back to the entire cycle, the type of changes that they would have undergone is tremendous. You would have also seen Shubhashu Shukla saying, as soon as the launch happened in Falcon 9 on June 25th, it happened. At around after 13 minutes of launch, when they came out of astronaut suits, he was feeling dizzy and he was feeling sleepy, and he slept off for most of the remaining period of the journey. And also after reaching there, he was feeling his head heavy. Therefore, please understand that this human body has to adapt, and it takes time to adapt, and that necessary conditions and supplements, and also the care should be taken to ensure that the astronauts are safe and sound in all respects. Now you can see the astronauts are one by one being wheeled out, and with such a care. And even after that, they will need at least a week for rehabilitation. Over to you.
Yeah, Dr. Sharma, for India, Poland and Hungary, this launch has marked the first human space flight of each country in more than 40 years, and the first mission ever to send astronauts from their government's respective space agencies to the ISS. Do you think it's a landmark achievement for these three countries involved, India, Poland and Hungary?
I would really extend it beyond these three countries. If you see last decade and a half, the way the space industry is growing in this country, namely the India particularly, and across the globe, is phenomenal. If you see, there is always give and take. There is always coordination, cooperation. There is always the mutual understanding between the space agencies is a really, really very healthy type of situation. This is one. Second thing, if you see in the country itself, unlike we had only ISRO working on the space earlier, if you see in the last decade and a half, there are at least 200 to 300 startups which have come up, which are into space activities, which are giving solutions, and which are giving various potential space-related activities. There are more than 200 to 300 industries which are participating in a very large scale. Industry participation, private participation is also extremely important. Therefore, this mission of Axiom 4 with NASA, with SpaceX, involving a country like Hungary and Poland, India, and the US is really one of the landmarks, I should say, which is a commercial launch. And this trend, I'm sure, will continue. You remember, and also please recall, that the Axiom 4 is not just working on this mission. It already had the three successful missions with NASA and SpaceX, and this is the fourth mission. And also Axiom is working on the replacement for the International Space Station which is supposed to have its life ended by end of this decade. The life of ISS was expected to be 30 years, and in 1998, the ISS was established, and 2028, and practically it should, it should get deorbited. But now it might go up to 2030, the way the things are happening. Therefore, next, space station, International Space Station, which Axiom 4 has taken the lead. I think other countries will also join with equal proportion, and also the vigor and vitality. I'm sure this, a trend of, everyone, every country joining together to make finally the human, for the humanitarian cause is something which is really important. Also, it gives a very big, boost to the human psychology in terms of, everyone feeling, proud of their achievements, etc. And also, scientifically and technologically, if you see, whichever the country progresses, whenever the country progresses, it is really of a situation which makes the entire country.
Okay. We are now seeing Dr. Sharma, Peggy Whitson of the USA, alighting from the capsule. Very hearty, relieved expression on her face. Of course, brimming with the delight as she has completed an 18-day mission on the ISS. Peggy Whitson, 65, retired from NASA in 2018 after a pioneering career that included becoming the US Space Agency's first female chief astronaut and the first woman ever to command an ISS expedition. Dr. Sharma, as we await Shubhashu Shukla also alighting from this capsule, we were talking about how these endeavors of joint endeavors of different countries, space agencies are involved. Do you think we are closer to space tourism now?
Well, there is much more to do than space tourism as well. If you see, even this country, namely India, and in particular ISRO, it had been doing scientific missions like Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, Gaganyaan, then Suryayaan, which are all, for the public outreach. If you see, and public are very happy, and the children are very happy. 144 people feel very proud whenever we do science, science modules and science launch, etc. is there. But that's only one part. Of course, to answer your question, yes, space tourism, the way we have gone ahead with the private participation, the commercial launch, it is necessary, definitely possible that in near future, maybe half a decade from now, the space tourism should become very, very practical. Okay, right now it's only the astronauts, the trained pilots, and the flight experienced astronauts who are flying, but the general public also should fly. This is the reason the experiments which are happening in ISS for diabetes cure, or for blood pressure cure, or for cancer cure, the experiments which are happening, and also the muscle loss of muscle power, loss of
okay, here we see the moment we were all waiting for. Group Captain, India's Shubhashu Shukla, alighting from the capsule now. Well, really waving happily and, of course, seeming in good spirit there, Dr. Sharma.
Yes, of course, yes. It looks very happy to see they are not really wheeled out of the Dragon module, unlike we saw with Crew 10 module, where the Williams and the other crew modules were, crew were brought. They were literally wheeled out in the sense in the stretchers, but they are able to walk with the support. Is something really heartening to see. Continue to where we were in terms of the space technology, etc. There is much more to do in terms of communication satellites, in terms of Earth observation satellites, in terms of oceanography satellites, and also in terms of reaching the common man, which is the goal of this country and which is the goal of this organization, namely ISRO, to reach the last person of this country of 140 crore people, to touch everyone in every aspect, in every application. Space coming into the picture is something, including the strategic sector, which we saw in the recent past as well, that strategic sector also, the space playing a major role in terms of the security and safety of this country. Therefore, while the space tourism is definitely on the cards and will happen, it is also important we are growing in terms of communication, in terms of Earth observation, in terms of oceanography, in terms of resources, the stabilization, and also in terms of the navigation satellites, which are in large numbers, which are really backbone for this country in terms of in the times of distress where we'll be denied of access to the location because of various geopolitical situation. So the country is marching towards the self-sufficiency, Atmanirbhar Bharat, what we call, and what the Prime Minister.
Indeed, India becoming self-sufficient in this space journey. Participation of Shubhashu Shukla, their epic moment for their parents. Let's listen in to Shubhashu Shukla's father there, surrounded by media professionals for a quick reaction there. These visuals coming from Lucknow.
So, of Poland. Suave is all smiles for this, which I love to see.
Uznaski Wisniewski, Polish astronaut assigned to the European Space Agency, also waving happily to the camera here.
Astronaut Sławomir Znański-Wiśniewski, flying in partnership with the European Space Agency.
So, Dr. Sharma, the participation of Shukla, an Indian Air Force pilot, is seen by India's space program as a precursor of sorts to the debut crewed mission of its Gaganyaan mission planned for 2027. These learnings will be really crucial for that mission as well.
Yes, as I keep saying repeatedly in my every interview and every address, this country in particular, in large, and ISRO in particular, we do everything with a mission, and everything there is a purpose. And every rupee what we spend is accountable, and we feel that we are spending the taxpayers' money, and that should be utilized for the purpose which is destined for. Therefore, the Gaganyaan mission, the human space program mission, we started in about a decade and a half, and the progress has been happening. Continuously, we are progressing. You would have seen the docking mission successful in 2026 January. And we had several other experiments, space recovery experiment, where we took a capsule to space and brought it down to the sea and recovered it. Space recovery experiment about 8-9 years back we did. Like that, every experiment, and also we did the pad abort test. That means in the fully loaded rocket condition, if anything happens to the rocket in terms of catastrophe, how to recover the astronaut who will be in the upper stage. That experiment also we did. That way, every experiment, every development what we are doing, we are progressing positively towards our Gaganyaan, our Chandrayaan, and also the impending missions of the landing on Moon, the Chandrayaan 4, which is expected to land on Moon, and also impending missions of the Venus, Mars landing, etc., and also colonization of the Moon. So this particular mission to answer specifically, because this is a very important question you have asked me. Since 2019, we selected 4 astronauts and we trained them in Bangalore in our astronaut training center. Then we sent them to Russia in the Glavcosmos training center. Then we sent them to US for American Space Center for astronaut training center. Then we took a decision that we will spend 550 crores sending one astronaut to ISS, because whatever training we have given, whatever we have taught them is through simulators, through textbooks, through paper, but we need to necessarily have a hands-on experience. So hands-on experience means a lot. Therefore, we decided that we send one astronaut, namely Shubhashu Shukla, to ISS, and he was additionally quarantined from May 25. The launch should have happened, and it happened only in 26th of June. Therefore, the entire experience is a precursor for the Gaganyaan, which is impending in 2026-2027, and also the Human Space Program, BSS, that is the Bharat Space Station, which is impending to happen in 2035 and 2040. The country has taken the decision to have the BSS. On top of all that, as I keep
a word there on Axiom 4 mission as well. It has marked the 18th human crewed flight for SpaceX, and this space station mission, International Space Station mission, was first for the 3 countries involved, India, Poland and Hungary. What we've seen so far, a historic splashdown there in San Diego, California, 2 sets of parachute looking like a meteor entering the Earth's atmosphere. Clearly a very spirited return there. 4 astronauts, 4 nations, Axiom 4 mission crew returning back safely to Earth. These learnings here will guide the respective space missions of these countries. A grand finale coming to a close there. And in a historic moment there, Indian astronaut Shubhashu Shukla and 3 other crew members of the Axiom 4 mission have returned home after spending 18 days at the International Space Station. Would like to thank you, Dr. S.V. Sharma, for being with us, explaining us those visuals, the significance of India's space ambitions. Thank you for being with us. With that, it's a wrap on DD India News Hour. Continuous updates on important events, national and international, continues on DD India. My colleague Gautam Roy takes it forward from here. Stay tuned to DD India.